Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Money and Markets Week Ahead, What to Watch on Wall Street. I'm moneyandmarkets.com market analyst Matt Clark, as well as the host of the Bull and the Bear podcast. You can catch both of those on our YouTube channel as you're watching this right now. You can just, if you're looking for any of our videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you get alerted every time we send out a new video. We send out videos all the time, so this is a way for you to kind of keep up and know what's going on and what we're doing. The Bull and the Bear podcast is on about 20 different podcast syndicators. So if maybe listening to podcasts is your thing, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're also on iHeartRadio and on Spotify, as well as a plethora of others. I've always wanted to use that word plethora just in some form or fashion. So there you go. And if you do have any maybe stocks you'd like us to look at, or maybe sectors you'd like us to examine, either with the podcast or maybe we have our marijuana market update, which we put out every week. Maybe there's a cannabis stock you'd like us to look at. You can email us at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. That's a good way to get information to us. We take all that feedback very seriously. So anywhere you're at, leave us a review, leave us a comment. Like I said, we'd love to see, love to hear from you. Love to get your feedback. And it's great. We've gotten a lot of feedback so far. That's awesome. That's all attributed to you guys and all your work to get us information and let us know what you want us to discuss. To get into next week, and not really a very active week per se. Earnings are starting to scale off a little bit, as most of earnings for S&P 500 companies, as well as NASDAQ and Dow companies, are kind of trailing off a little bit for the quarter. It's usually a big bunch in the beginning, and then things start to really taper. Now we're kind of in that tapering process where there's not 200 earnings reports coming out every day. It's much smaller than that. However, the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia does plan to release its monthly manufacturing index on Thursday morning. This is the index that measures the change in business growth, and it covers Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware, that region up in the Northeast. Right now, the index's current level from last month is about 24.1. That's down from 27.5 in June, up from 16.6 a year ago. It's a change of about minus 12.3% from last month, but a positive 48.1% from a year ago. The index value, when the index value is above zero, that means that there is growth in the manufacturing sector. Conversely, if the value is below zero, that means there's contraction in the sector. The manufacturing index, like I said, this one covers a regional area. However, investors and analysts do look at that as a precursor or an indicator of what overall manufacturing across the U.S. is doing. The index did suffer a significant dip of about 254% from its high of 36.7 in February to its low of minus 56.6 in April. So it's still working, trying to get its way back to those February highs, rather. It's fluctuated over the last couple months. It was up and now it's down, not by much, but a little bit. But so keep a close eye and see how it could possibly indicate how the manufacturing sector is performing across the country. An IPO coming out, expected to be priced this week, is Inhibrx. It is expected to price its IPO on Tuesday. Its intention is raising about $102 million from a sale of its common stock, according to its regulatory filings. It's a California-based company, and it's noted for working on treatments for rare cancers like chondrosarcoma and mesothelioma. You've seen the commercials on TV during the day a lot about mesothelioma. They actually work on treatments for that particular rare cancer. It's hoping to sell about 6 million shares at a midpoint price of about $17 per share. And I don't know that it's going to get that because that's awfully high. And if you consider the biggest issue that you'll see with this company is its financials. In the first 6 months of 2020, Inhibrx has lost a net of about $38 million. That's in the first 6 months. In 2019, it reported a net loss of $51.4 million. And a lot of those losses are due to increased expenses for research and development and things, and licensing and things like that. However, some of it has been offset by grants and other licensing revenue the company has pulled in. But it's a pretty good size loss for a company this size. The bottom line is this is kind of a high price for an IPO. The company is in the process of testing drugs to treat rare cancers, but those tests are still in the very early phases. they've also provided very little in terms of actual results from those early testing. So it makes it kind of difficult for people to get excited about this IPO. The company did not provide any of its roadshow information, or at least none that can be found anywhere easily. So it just seems that there's just a lot of uncertainty here in terms of this company and its IPO. Coming up ahead this week in the data dump, the National Association of Home Builders will release its housing market index for August. In July, that index moved up to 72 after it hit an 8-year low of 30 in April. A reading above 50 indicates a favorable outlook on home sales, while a reading below 50 indicates a negative outlook. The housing market will stay in the spotlight on Tuesday as housing starts and building permits for July will be reported. There were 1.18 million housing starts in July. In the previous month, 1.2 million building permits issued during that same month. The Department of Labor will also release its latest jobless numbers on Thursday morning. Investors are going to keep a close eye on those jobless claims, as that is kind of an indicator as to the state of a broader economic recovery. On Friday, IHS Markit will release its Purchase Managers Index for manufacturing and services for the month of August. In July, both indexes were right around 50. That indicates a very, very slight expansion for the month. So 50 is that midpoint. Above 50 shows expansion, below shows contraction. Right at 50 shows kind of not a whole lot. So we'll see kind of where either one of those indexes move for the next month. We do have earnings on tap for this week, coming up this week on Monday. JD.com, the popular Chinese website, it will report on Monday. Niu Technologies, another Chinese company, they will also report on Monday. On Tuesday, Advanced Auto Parts will report. Daco Energy Corp. That's a company that, if you remember, we have actually talked about and recommended in a story from, I believe, the last 2 weeks on solar. So you might want to go back and check that out. They'll be reporting earnings on Tuesday. Home Depot and Walmart ran out kind of a bigger earnings day on Tuesday. On Wednesday, L Brands, the parent company to Bath & Body Works and Victoria's Secret, they will be announcing on Wednesday. Lowe's company with Lowe's Home, the Lowe's stores, they will be reporting. Nvidia, a large technology company. That'll be one to watch because technology has had a big run-up. It'll be interesting to see how Nvidia has capitalized on that. Target Corp also on Wednesday. On Thursday, Alibaba, the Chinese e-commerce website, will report, as well as Ross Stores, the discount clothing store that we talked about in a Bull and the Bear podcast. And on Friday, Deere & Company, the parent company for John Deere, and Foot Locker will highlight the earnings on Friday. So that's a look at your money and markets week ahead, what to watch on Wall Street. I am money and markets research analyst Matt Clark, as well as the host for the Bull and the Bear podcast. Check us out on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com, type in the money and markets. Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Get notified every time we put out new videos. The Bull and the Bear podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's also on Spotify and iHeartRadio, amongst many other podcast syndicators. Give us a review. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you get alerted every time it comes out. And if you have any questions, comments, or maybe there's a particular stock or sector you'd like us to look at, email us at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com, and we would love to see what you have to say. So until next week, this is Matt Clark, and safe trading, everybody.